Live while you're alive, a blueprint for better living. All right, let's jump right into this explainer of Shiv Khera's truly transformative book. If you've been looking for a summary of this book that uses everyday, easy language, but absolutely keeps the profound intention of the author intact, well, you're in the exact right place. Think of this as your practical, no-nonsense manual for taking absolute control of your life. We're going to walk through Khera's blueprint for better living step by step, taking those big, complex realities of stress and success and breaking them down into simple, actionable daily choices. We cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. We can only choose how to play the hand. This quote right here, it perfectly sets up the core philosophy of the entire book. It's such a simple concept, but literally the bedrock of everything we're about to cover. We just can't control everything the world throws at us, right? The weather, the economy, unexpected accidents, but we have total, absolute power over how we respond to those things. Section 1, the stress epidemic. It's about management. Let's get into it. So, in our modern daily grind, the very first hurdle we face is stress. But Kira offers this really fascinating perspective. He says, all of us can handle stress, but what we cannot handle is chronic stress. You see, stress isn't actually inherently evil. In fact, if you handle it properly, it can energize you. It pushes us to perform. It's the chronic, mismanaged stress that slowly breaks us down, drains our energy, and honestly ruins our health over time. Now, this comparison is so striking. It completely nails the difference between simply experiencing a situation and how our internal management dictates whether we suffer or find peace. Just look at the difference here. If you're alone and feeling lonely, that is mismanagement. But if you're alone and at peace with yourself, truly enjoying your solitude, that's good management. The physical reality is exactly the same. You are by yourself, but the outcome is entirely dictated by the state of your mind. Khera actually uses a workbook style at the end of his chapters to force some serious self-reflection, leading to big questions like this. Is your mind being directed or being misdirected by you? Take a second and really think about that one. Are you actively steering your thoughts, or are you just sort of letting them run wild, misdirecting your focus and creating all this unnecessary chronic stress? Moving on to Section 2, Choose Your Attitude, the Ultimate Remedy. There's this fantastic story Khera tells to illustrate this. Imagine a young couple on their absolute dream vacation to Mauritius. They check in to a stunning 5-star hotel. It's beautiful. But the husband notices the room doesn't face the sea. Now, it's the only room left, totally out of their control, but he throws a massive fit and completely ruins the trip. His wife tries to tell him, hey, don't let a missing sea view room ruin the bigger picture of us being together. But he just can't let it go. It's a classic case of a trivial external problem being blown entirely out of proportion by a negative mindset. So the crucial takeaway is this. Change of attitude is the remedy for stress. So often people think they just need a change of scenery, right? They go on vacation or they change jobs, hoping the stress is just going to magically vanish. But changing your environment won't fix your problems. Your stress is simply going to pack its bags and follow you right to the beach, unless you actually change your attitude. Section 3. Respond, do not react. The power of choice. Now, Khera uses this doctor analogy, and it's such a brilliant way to look at this concept. Think about when you take a new medication. If your doctor says you're reacting to the medicine, well, that's negative. It's a sign of danger, like a rash or a bad side effect. But if the doctor says you're responding to the treatment, that's positive. It's a sign of healing and proactive control. We really need to firmly separate the destructive nature of blindly reacting to life from the constructive power of responding to it thoughtfully. So how exactly do we do that? Well, proactive people use these 2 specific questions to turn literally every stumbling block into a stepping stone. When something goes wrong, stop right there and ask yourself, number 1, what lesson have I learned? And number 2, what could have been worse? If you just pause and ask these questions, you immediately shift gears from a negative knee-jerk reaction into a positive, controlled response. What's really fascinating here is how Khera strips away all the complex jargon we usually associate with high achievement. Look at this. He defines success simply as a series of positive decisions in life. That's it. It's not about being perfect or never making a mistake. It's just about consistently making constructive choices one after another, day after day. Section 4. Prioritize what matters, urgent versus important. All right. So how do we start making those positive decisions? We have to organize our lives by understanding this classic paradox of time. Important tasks are absolutely crucial. Think exercising daily or nurturing your family relationships, but they rarely have an immediate deadline. Urgent tasks, on the other hand, demand your attention right now. But here is the paradox Khera warns us about. Whenever we ignore what is deeply important simply because it doesn't have a deadline, it eventually turns into a stressful, urgent crisis. Like, ignore your health long enough and suddenly a trip to the hospital becomes highly urgent. And this builds into a fantastic foundational checklist for a meaningful life. Let's look at Khera's top 5 priorities: good health, good relationships, confidence and self-improvement, money, and finally, a balance of body, mind, and soul. Notice how many of these are immensely important but not necessarily urgent on a random Tuesday afternoon? We really have to consciously ensure we aren't neglecting the very people and values we claim to work so hard for. Let's just hit pause for a second here. Honestly evaluate your own daily habits against that list. When was the last time you attended to your most important priorities? Are you spending your days frantically putting out urgent fires at work? Or are you actively investing time in your health, your family, and your peace of mind? Section 5. Accept true responsibility, the mark of maturity. Khera uses this great story to vividly bring this point to life. There's a high schooler named John who constantly neglects his chores so he can play on his computer. His parents, wanting to teach him some accountability, give him a dog named Buddy to care for. But John neglects the dog. He forgets to feed him, doesn't walk him, and the poor dog actually falls sick. His parents finally sit him down and ask, "How would you like it if we skipped your meals and you fell sick?" You see, treating responsibilities carelessly usually only stops when the pain of that neglect is mirrored directly back to us. Rationalizing our failures simply prevents us from learning. So, to truly take charge, we have to adopt these habits. Stop blaming outside sources. Stop making excuses. And accept responsibility for your feelings and behavior. You've got to emphasize this in your own life. As long as we blame others, our bosses, the economy, the way we were raised, we remain helpless victims. True power, it only comes from absolute accountability. Losers say, "Hey, it wasn't my fault." Winners say, "I made a mistake, and I accept the responsibility." And the crazy thing is, it all starts internally. Pointing the finger inward is the absolute first step. When you feel those negative emotions bubbling up, you have to ask yourself, why did I get upset? Why am I angry? Why am I depressed? By asking these internal questions instead of immediately blaming the outside world, you actually start gathering the clues you need to overcome those negative emotions.
We're going to wrap up with this incredibly profound thought from the author. Every person has 2 birthdays in life. First, when he comes into this world, and second, when he accepts his responsibilities. Man, that perfectly summarizes the entire intention of this explainer. The moment you stop reacting and start taking responsibility, your true life finally begins. So, are you ready to finally take the wheel? What other daily choices could you be making to build that better life, starting today?